remote. Hey guys, well, this is a bit different, isn't it? Welcome along though to Fort Awesome. Now when you come to Fort Awesome, got two rules for you. First rule is no viruses allowed. Second rule is take off your shoes before you come into the fort. Now when I was a little boy, I loved building forts. And when I told my wife I wanted to build a fort in the house, she wasn't very happy with me. I said I won't take up much room in our bedroom, but she said no, I can't build it there. So I said, how about in the dining room? She said, no, I can't use the dining room. So here I am, I built Fort Awesome, and I'm in my garage. Now, because I'm in my garage, sometimes it'll be a bit windy and the garage door will bang and rattle. Also, because I'm outside almost, you might hear some noises from our neighbours' dogs barking or some building that they're doing, but that's part of what life is like now, getting along happily with our neighbours. Anyway, welcome along to Fort Awesome. I'm glad you're here, so I won't be lonely while you're here with me. While we're in the strange new world that we're in at the moment, I've been using this as a chance to learn some new things. The first thing I've been learning is about video editing. Now, I've been in videos before, but I've never done the technical stuff behind the camera, making the video look good. And I don't know if it's going to look good because it's just me in the video. The second thing I've been learning is my ukulele. Now, I bought this about 2 years ago, and I've never really played it very much, but I've been using the last few days and probably the next few weeks to try and get better at the ukulele. So I'm going to play you a quick song, and I'm going to see if the kids might recognize what the song is. It goes a little bit like this. Recognize that, leave a comment down below, and that will help me to know that I'm not doing as bad as I think I am. Anyway, I'm really glad you're here with me, so I won't be lonely anymore, but also leave a comment down below about what you might be learning, what you might be doing, something different. I was trying to think what could be good for you guys to learn over these next few weeks. Now, one thing I thought you could learn is how to use things around the house. Things like the vacuum cleaner, the dishwasher, and how to put dirty clothes from your bedroom floor into the washing machine. They'll be good things to learn. Something else you might learn is maybe get Dad to teach you how to cook Mum's favourite dinner. That'll be another good thing for you guys to learn as well. Alright, let me know what you've been learning over these last few days, what you want to learn over the next few weeks. When I left you to go on my holiday to Australia a few weeks ago, we heard about this new virus, but it was okay. When I come back from Australia, it's a very different world. And I realised just a few hours ago when I was looking at my watch, I was still on Australian time. So that shows how far different I am out of sync with the world at the moment. Question for you guys, who has been feeling a bit lonely over the last few days? Yeah, okay, who's been feeling a bit bored? Who's feeling a bit anxious? Who's feeling a bit scared? Okay, who's just happy that school is shut down? Fair enough. Neighbours' dogs you can hear at the moment too. Alright, now when we're feeling a bit lonely or confused or anxious, an important thing for us to do is talk to someone about it. Okay, talk to Mum and Dad because they want to help you get through this time as well. Mums and Dads, if you're feeling a bit anxious as well and need someone to talk to, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email, and I'm here to help you as I can. Each time I come along to Fort Awesome, we're going to be looking at something I've got inside my chili bin here. It's something that you might have at home that you can do, something you haven't tried before, something you want to have a go at doing maybe. And it's going to be a challenge, you might be able to beat me at something as well. Have a guess what you think is inside the bin today. Yeah, probably wrong. It is clothes pegs. Hey! Here's what we're going to do. If you can see them. Now, I've got here these springy sort of clothes pegs. Alright, we're going to make a clothes peg snake. Now, my record of this is 8 clothes pegs. Alright, what you do is you get a clothes peg in each hand and you open one up and you sort of bite the tail of the next clothes peg. Alright, and you get another clothes peg and you bite that last one's tail. You just want to make sure that you bite just the tail and don't sort of chomp it all the way up. Okay, so it's just on the very tippy tip of its tail. Alright, you get another clothes peg. Here we go, I've now got 4 clothes pegs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one thing about this is that once I've let go of those front clothes pegs, I can't touch them again. I can only touch the last clothes peg. I can use both hands, but I can't touch those front ones. Let's see if I can beat my record today. So here we go, I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, that's my record. I've tied my record. 9. Okay, so that was 9 clothes pegs. Let's see if you guys can beat that. Let me know how well you do. In the Bible, there are lots of people who are... In the Bible, you find lots of stories about people who were isolated as well. But their isolation was probably worse than what we have at the moment, because their isolation was sometimes in prison. Now, when people were in prison, they probably felt quite confined and restricted, sort of how we do in our isolation at the moment too. And I want to tell you a story about 2 guys called Paul and Silas and how they dealt with being in isolation. You can find this story in Acts chapter 16 in the New Testament. Now, the Bible tells us that Paul and Silas were in the town of Philippi, and they wanted to go somewhere quiet where they could pray and talk to some people who wanted to learn a bit more about God. So they went outside the town and sort of sat down near a river. While they were by this river, a young slave girl came along and she started yelling at them. She was yelling things like, "They serve God, they serve God, they know how you can be saved, they serve God." And she was yelling and wouldn't be quiet. Paul got quite annoyed at her because no one could hear what he was saying and he couldn't hear himself praying either. So he got up from where he was sitting by the river, went over to the slave girl and healed her because she actually had some bad things inside her. Now, the bad things left, the girl was healed, and Paul and Silas went back to sit down by the river. Now, the slave girl, though, she went back to her house where she worked. And being a slave girl, she had a boss. Now, the boss wasn't very happy with Paul and Silas for doing these things to his slave girl. So he had Paul and Silas arrested and thrown in prison. Does that sound fair? Had they done anything bad? I don't think so. Now, when Paul and Silas were in prison, they could have done one of 2 things. The first thing, I think, is that they could have sat in prison and looked around at the bars and felt all restricted and confined. It was quite dark and scary, I imagine, being in prison there. But they didn't do that. Paul and Silas looked past the stars. They looked outside and they saw, I can imagine, some stars out the window. And they knew outside of where they were, confined and restricted in their prison, there was still hope and life and God. Then they also realized that God was with them there too, in their isolation, in the prison cell. And do you know what they started doing? They started singing songs. Now, they had their hands chained up, so they couldn't play the ukulele, but they sang. And they sang and they prayed, and the other prisoners in the prison cells, they heard from Paul and Silas, not complaints, but songs and prayers. Now, while they were singing, something amazing happened. There was an earthquake, and the whole place shook around, and the chains that were holding Paul and Silas fell off them. The cell doors flew open, and Paul and Silas could have left. Now, they didn't. They chose to stay where they were because they knew that God was with them when they were in the isolation or if they were outside and free. So they chose to stay where they were, trusting God. Now, the story doesn't quite finish there in the Bible. Keep reading it in Acts chapter 16 if you want. But I like that story when I think of it in this time of what I'm going through and what you guys are going through too, is that there are no restrictions, there are no limitations to what God can do. Oh, why am I getting tongue-tied? Many years later, Paul wrote a letter to the people of Philippi, and that's in the Bible too. It's called Philippians. And he wrote in that, Philippians chapter 4, verse 4, he wrote, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again, I say rejoice. It's Philippians 4, verse 4. And I think that's a really good thing for us to think of and remember at this time for us too. That we should rejoice and be happy, even when things are pretty tough. One thing I think is important for us all to keep on doing is staying healthy. And you're still allowed to go outside for a walk or go for a bike ride with mum and dad. So one thing you might have seen around in the streets and houses near you are some bears. Now, we don't normally have any bears in New Zealand, but these are teddy bears. And people have been putting teddy bears in their windows or in the car for people to see when they go walking or cycling past. Now, I live down a long driveway and you can't see our house from the road. So out on the corner of our driveway that I share with my neighbours, we've put a big teddy bear.
Going on a bear hunt.
Going on a bear hunt.
I did hear just before, some people who were walking down the road said, "Look, there's another one." So here's a challenge for you guys. When you go out for a walk with mum and dad, see how many teddy bears you can find in the streets around where you live. And let me know how many you get. Now, there's 3 groups of people that I think we should be thinking of and praying for at the moment. The first group are those people that we love and who love us. There are people that we are living with in our houses at the moment. We're in our little bubble all together. So thinking of your mums and dads, brothers and sisters. We should be looking after each other and helping each other and praying for each other. But there are also people who we love and who love us, but we're not able to see at the moment. People like our grandparents, our uncles and aunties, cousins, our friends from school. So we can still text them, we can still email them. You can do things like Skype and Zoom and other things with them. But we can't see them, we can't hug them. So we should pray for those people that they'll all be happy and healthy. Now, the second group we should pray for are those people who are being quite brave. Those people who are still going off to work. Thinking of people like the police, doctors and nurses, people who are working at the supermarkets. And I just realised this morning that the rubbish bin guys are still doing their job as well. So we should pray for them, that they'll be healthy in what they're doing, and thank them when we see them for keeping us safe and for looking after our community. The third group we should be praying for are people who are a bit smarter than me. They're people who are the scientists and researchers and politicians who are trying to find an end and find an answer to what we're going through with this virus at the moment. Alright guys, that's our first video from Fort Awesome. Now, I've never done a video like this before, so it's a new thing for me. So it's part of things that I like learning, and I'm learning something new here. I hope you've had a little bit of a distraction from what's going on in the world at the moment while you're here with me. But here's what I want you guys to do now. First thing is, be safe. Second thing is be kind. The third thing is to go wash your hands. See ya! Oh, my legs are sore.